Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. This is part 31 of my fitness database series. If you haven't watched parts 1 through 30, well, you got a lot of watching to do before you watch this one. And like I say at the beginning of every one of these videos, this isn't just about fitness. It's about building a database. Lots of cool tricks and tips and all that good stuff. So let's get back to it. Alrighty, we've got our record sets here that we're working on, and we're working on the cream filling or the jelly filling, whichever you prefer. That depends on the day. And with my coffee, I kind of prefer cream. But we're doing a fitness database here. Why am I talking about donuts? It's been that long since I've had a donut instead of a protein bar. All right, let's finish putting these in here. I closed the tables, but let's open them back up again. We got the food T where stuff is coming from. Right, and then we've got the food log where stuff is going to, and I'm going to stick that one there. And there we go. All right, and yes, the field names are different, and I kind of did that intentionally for several different reasons. But here in the food T, it's assumed that's one unit, whatever your one unit is. But in the food log T, you might have multiple units of something, right? Like 2 cups of cereal. And so I want this to make sure that the developer knows this is per unit, okay? Because we have to do some multiplications and maths and things. All right. So what's next? Now, at this point, it's just copying stuff over from description down pretty much. So I'm just going to grab description, copy, and I'm going to go rslog description equals, it's going to be, well, in this case, it is, let's see. Oh, where'd it go? I lost you. Come here. Yeah, see, that's the problem is I got this one all wide and stuff. Fix that like that. Fix you like that. Okay, much better. All right, and in this one, it's going to be food description. Okay, so this one's going to be rs food. Oh, yeah, rs food. I got them backwards, don't I? Yep. You know why? Because in the other video, I had these flipped. All right, so rs log food description equals rs food description. Just like that. Now, for the rest of these, it's going to be basically just copy and paste information. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to put in here like this. We're going to put a bunch of X's on both of these. And then we're going to copy and paste a bunch of them down. What do we need? We need, for the food log, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. All right, so copy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, good enough. Now, if you arrange these just right, we can do it. Okay, good. All right. So next we got calories per unit, copy, paste, fat per unit, paste, carbs per unit, paste, fiber per unit, paste, sugar, added sugar, that's the deadly one right there, and then protein. And I might have one too many. We'll check in a minute. All right, now we just get to grab the other ones from the other thing. So calories is calories. And then fat. Carbs. Fiber. Sugar. Added. Protein. And then, okay, so we got notes, URL is active, we don't need. Now, notes is up to you if you want to copy the notes from the actual food table over to the notes from the log. I'm thinking that the notes for the log are something that you can type in for that meal if you want. If you want to copy over the notes, you can. Looks like I copied one too many over, so we can get rid of that one, Control Y. Like I said, user ID we're going to take care of in the future. Has eaten should default to no. Quantity should default to 1. We're going to keep these defaults. That's fine. Keep in mind, by the way, if you're working with SQL Server, because eventually I'm going to put this online, you gotta make sure you set those defaults on the server too, or you got to put them in here. So that can be a trick. Yeah, food log notes. That's up to you if you want to copy that over or not. The meal description, we're going to get that from the meal itself. So if you add a meal, it'll bring in the name of the meal. So you could say, okay, that was all for lunch. And we can group them together when we do a report. But if it's just a food item, we got nothing to put in there. We can just leave it blank. All right, I think this is good for now. That's fun with copying fields from tables. Let me resize everything. Snap. I'm using PowerToys to snap stuff on my desktop. Watch, ready, click, snap. See, I love that. I use it all the time. But the code window I like to have over to the side just a little bit, and I make it a little bit smaller so I can still click on the access window behind it. But over here to the right, see how I leave it hanging out over here, so I can just click over here. See, that's how I go back and forth between them quickly. A lot of people ask me that. How do you do that so fast? You can click on your toolbar on the bottom on the taskbar, but that's actually slower. Okay. It's the habits you pick up of doing this for 20 years. All right, so back down here, after we add it, let's throw in a me.recordset.requery. And there's that beep every time we hit the record set dot. That'll requery the list of stuff that we just added something to. Save it, debug, compile once in a while. Come back over here. Let's close it, open it. I'm going to get rid of this blank line that I added somehow. And let's add an avocado. You ready? Click, and there it is. Pretty cool, huh? Let's check the log, make sure it got everything. Right, it should be right there. It's got the date and time. It's got the time formatted. It's got the name, and all the macros are good. Somehow I think sugar is wrong. Let's see. Avocado. Oh, wait, it's avocado. I was thinking pear. No, you're right. No sugar. Okay. Now, it would also be nice if that item was highlighted up here, right? So if I add something else, let's add, let's delete that. And I also want to blank this box after the user makes a selection, right? Let's say they add provolone cheese, okay? And we can optionally close this later because right now, remember the drop down. Let's hit add. I think it'd be nice if once you add the item, the focus goes up here so the user can see that that's highlighted. I mean, it's kind of up to you. I like that. But you might also want to blank this and have it here so they can type in the next item too. It all depends on your workflow, how you want to do it. And maybe make this label like the Alt F, right? Put the Alt in front of that F there. Not the Alt, the ampersand. And now, if you want to use the keyboard, you can. Anywhere on this form, just hit Alt F. And that puts you right there. You can start typing in oil. All right, if you're a keyboard warrior like me, okay. Oops, someone's beaming in. Let me delete these. So let's put the focus up here on the item we just added. Now, in order to do that, we have to get the ID that was just added to the food log table. And I'm doing this primarily to teach you something. So we have to say, okay, hey, you just added an item. Which item is it? Now, we can't just rely on looking at the most recent one because IDs aren't always that way, especially if you're working with SQL Server, especially if you got a multi-user environment, and especially if you're using like random auto numbers or something different. So what we're going to do is when we add the item to the table, we're going to say, hey, I need you to return that ID to me, buddy. Okay, what record you just added? Give me its ID. Now, if we're going to do that, then we can't rely on this being a subroutine. Let's turn it into a function and return that value. All right, so let's change this to a function. And we're going to return a long, so as long. And this is easier than you think it is, by the way. Okay, right here, after we do the rslog.addNew, at that point, we're assigned an ID. This is different in SQL Server, by the way. In SQL Server, you don't get that ID until the record's committed. In Access, you get it immediately. So we'll have to do some modifications if we decide to put this in SQL Server. But for now, it works just fine. Okay? At this point, I can now say add food item to log equals rslog, what is it? Food log ID. Now I've got the auto number that was just created, and that'll get returned as a function. So now we'll come down here and we'll dim new ID as a long. And we'll say new ID equals, this is now a function, right? So I'll do it like that. Now we can requery it. Now we can find that item by saying me.recordset.findFirst food log ID equals the new ID we just added. And now we can set focus and do all that other stuff. Food description up in the top there, dot set focus. And then how about food combo equals null, blank the combo box. Or if you want to have the focus down here, that's up to you. If you're more of a keyboard person or a texting person or whatever, I don't know. All right, save it. Give me a debug compile. Come out, yeah. Let's close her, open it. And now let's do this. Let's do variables and then add it. And look at that. I'm sitting right on it. And the box is blank. See? Drop it down. Oh, look at that. It didn't clear it. We set it to null, but we didn't reset the... We'll have to do that too. When we set this value to null, we didn't update the row source. That should be an easy fix. But also, we have to take it... See, I do this a lot. A lot of times you find you got to call stuff from somewhere else. All right? So you could call food combo change if you want to. But I don't like doing that because later on you might add more stuff in here that's not related to that. Okay? So I'm going to say, let's say it update food combo row source end sub, right? And then we'll make this guy public sub because other forms might do it. That. And I think, see, this is where you might have other stuff. I think I might want the food combo drop down just up here so that it's not triggered if I call this from somewhere else, right? That I'm not always dropping that box down unless I'm manually changing it. So now I can take this and put it in this button's code after we do this. Food combo equals null, update the row source. See what I'm doing? Save it, close it, close it, close it, open it. All right, let's get rid of that barbell. Delete. All right, add banana. I don't know if I like that staying open like that. Let's see. Add it. Whoop, up, up. Oh, you can't reference it to this that has focus. Debug. It's got to have the focus. Okay. All right, that's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't think of that. See, this is why I like building this with you. I didn't run through all of this ahead of time. So what's happening is we're trying to update the combo row source, but the focus isn't on that box. But what we're doing here depends on the user typing into that box. So what we're going to do is instead, we're going to move some of this stuff. We're going to move this up here. Okay. So dim s is a string. Is going to go up here. We're going to set it to foodcombo.text. All right, do our replacement there. And then we're going to say update food combo row source s. All right, and we'll send in s as a string. And we'll make that optional. Watch, optional equals blank. Okay? So what's going to happen now? If they're typing, S will get sent with whatever text is in the box. If they're not typing, if we're doing it from our automated thing in the button, S will be blank, and it will just assume we want this without a where string. And that should get us around the problem. I don't know. I haven't tested it yet. Let's try it and see. Save it. Debug compile. Come over here. Let's close it. Open it. Let's get rid of that banana. And let's try it. Banana. Add it. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And this guy has all of its records in it. Let's type in chicken. And we'll add chicken to the C. Add it. Look at that. Uh-huh. And looking good. Looking good. All right, next up, we're going to tackle the problem of when you pick something and you add it. All right, let me do this here. Let me make this bigger so I can show you what's going to happen here. All right, get rid of you. If we go in here and type in like chicken, all right, and then I click on this. When I make that selection, I don't want the box to stay open. I want the box to close. In fact, I want to put the focus on this button here. Right? We'll do that in the next class. I'm not saying tomorrow, probably tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be Wednesday the 3rd. So yeah, we'll do one more class tomorrow, and then Thursday I might do something different because I'm gonna try to do, like I said, maybe one different class in a week, and then we got quick queries Friday. So we'll get to it soon. Either tomorrow or the next day. Members, I'm gonna keep recording, so you're gonna watch it right now. But that's gonna do it for part 31, folks. Post a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and yeah, hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get one free beginner class each month, and yes, those are for my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos. Plus you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get one free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject, and you get one free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.